Adam here with another super ranty video. So, this morning I had posted, and actually I had this conversation with my wife um, about a week ago, and I'm really good at seeing signals and signs. I'm typically not a doomsayer, but this is something that you do want to be on the lookout for and understand that you need to diversify your wealth, right? Um, the US dollar is not doing well. We've been dealing with massive amounts of inflation. The central bank poofs money into the air. And if you don't know how money works, like I would recommend you watch a video by Cold Fusion TV. He's actually got two of them where he talks about how money works. And I recommend that you watch it before you really continue or watch the rest of this video. Again, it's on YouTube, Cold Fusion TV. Watch his videos. Watch at least the two ones where he talks about money. Uh, a quick summary just so you can get an idea of what we're talking about here. Um, Money is just created out of thin air. It's not backed by gold. It hasn't been backed by gold. It's been taken off the gold standard. All the other world's currencies are pegged to the US dollar, and the US dollar is supposedly pegged to oil. So the price of oil affects the strength of the US dollar. So keeping that in mind, we recently had a huge drop in oil prices. We see a huge drop in the US dollar. I don't think the US dollar is going to stand around for very long. I don't think we'll enter a state of hyperinflation effect. The federal government kind of controls that when the federal government sets a rate, and the rate is super important for determining what the interest rate is on what the government owes to the Federal Reserve, which is a private industry, private bank, doesn't not actually owned by the federal government. It's just called the Federal Reserve. But I digress. We're already on a really ranting rant. So, my advice to you is to put money into crypto, put money into assets. If you are close to paying off a car or a house or something like that, I'm not going to say rush out and do it. I'm not a financial advisor. I would recommend you look at what you can do and kind of take it from there. But anyhow, here's a video that I seen this morning that was saying, hey, a dollar crash is virtually inevitable, because it is. So let's take a watch.
Why is it time to warn investors now about a potential dollar crash when you could argue it's been fading here for a couple weeks now?
Well, look, I think the U.S. economy has been afflicted with some significant macro imbalances for a long time, namely a very low domestic savings rate and a chronic current account deficit. But these problems are going to go from bad to worse as we blow out the fiscal deficit in the years ahead. The national savings rate, adjusted for depreciation, is probably going to go deeper into negative territory than it's ever done for the United States or for any leading economy in economic history. And at the same time, America is walking away from globalization, focused more on decoupling itself from the rest of the world. I think that's a lethal combination. I think the dollar is going to do as a currency normally does, and that is provide the equilibrium between saving and international imbalances. And I think the dollar is going to fall very, very sharply.
So right here, it's just like, hey, this is an opinion, which obviously we know that. So what he's talking about there is that the federal interest rate determines how much money the government owes to the Federal Reserve, a private banking organization. So So again, if you're not really familiar in how money works, because it's not something I teach in school, it is the best kept worst secret, right? Most people don't concern themselves with how money works. Again, go to YouTube, check out Cold Fusion TV. I might have links in my comments. It just depends, or in the description. We'll find out. So if you put your money into assets, well, assets can't depreciate or fall over time. In fact, I have a high yield savings account, which does its best to match what the federal interest rate is. Because if you have like an interest, or I think the federal interest rate is 1.25% currently. So if you have a savings account that is not paying 1.25%, the money in your savings account is not keeping up with the rate of inflation, which means that your money is actually becoming worth less as it sits there. So money only works to make more money as if it moves, which a lot of people tells you to put it into Wall Street. You know, put it into your stocks and bonds, and a great place to start, honestly, is to use Robinhood. And this is the other thing that makes me feel like this whole thing is just unsustainable. So a year ago, I started an experiment, and I like to call it an experiment because really it was, and really is. So a year ago, I started with $300 on Robinhood, and I am not. I fix computers. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, and I would argue to say I don't really know shit about money, right? Not when it comes to doing stocks and trading. But I do want to point out, I started with $300 a year ago, right? So let me bring my cursor all the way over here. I don't know if you can see that. So let me just... All right, so there's my investment starting at was $324, right? That is where it's at today, right? That's a year. Right? A year, I went from $300 to almost $800. That is absurd, right? So I don't know how you expect us to not look at that and go, well, that's wrong. Like, investments should be like a 10%, 20%, not double. Like, not $300 to $800. And I don't even think it's because I made good investments. Like, I didn't. I just made normal investment choices. So it's very interesting to me that the stock market is that wild. That shows me how much, even during this time of crisis where hundreds and thousands and millions of Americans are out of work, we have people like myself making money off of stocks. And again, I am a small player. I started with $300 a year ago. Imagine people with $1 million. Imagine people with $10 million. Imagine people with $1 billion. This crisis has been great for Wall Street because Wall Street has been decoupled from Main Street for a long time. Even though your friends and family are losing their jobs and small businesses are closing left and right, they're not on Wall Street. Wall Street doesn't care. So that further shakes my faith in the dollar, right? Like I don't see how this is sustainable, and in fact, it's not. And again, I hate to say it, once you learn how money works, you realize the game that we're playing and how unsustainable it is. But yeah, that is my rant on money, and it really got under my skin. And being able to just like literally just calling it put, you know, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not saying don't, you know, spend all your money, put it in assets, put it in crypto, put it in physical things. But that is what I am doing. And I hold a little bit of crypto, and I'm glad I'm holding a little bit of crypto because I don't know what's going to go on with the dollar, and I don't trust the US dollar because I can't trust the U.S. dollar. Like, you've seen, like, $300 to $800 in a year. It's insane. All right, well, that's it. Adam, signing out.